You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney Theme Parks podcast, and this is show number 524 for Sunday, the 27th of October, 2024.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls. We are your guide to the place where dreams begin. And I have with me a very special guest, the lovely, the wonderful Christine Sir. Hello there, my lovely.
Hello, Michelle. How are you?
I am very excited to talk with you about your latest travels. And I know you've been on the show before talking about past trips, but this one is where you as an American came over to our part of the world.
Yes, we did.
I'm so excited. So firstly, let's put the cat out there so everybody can see and know what we're talking about. You did an Adventures by Disney focusing on London and Paris, and then you tagged on a DLP stay. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. So when you were thinking about doing this, how long ago did you have to book out this itinerary to get the ABD adventure? Because I know that they're quite exclusive and they're quite pricey, and they are something that you do have to do a bit of pre-planning on.
Yeah, so we booked it pretty much when it opened, which was a little over maybe about 18 months in advance of our travel dates. We did an adult exclusive adventure, and it does take 40 people total, but ours actually never filled. So we were 32 people on our tour.
Wow. So as your price with the ABD, what does it technically include, and then what do you have to add on extra?
So it includes your transportation to and from the airport. It includes basically everything. It's very inclusive. You get about 14 meals, and each restaurant that we stayed at, the breakfast was included. And then you might have a lunch and or dinner, depending on what was going on that day. And you did have some meal times that were on your own. All of your tours are included. All of your entry into any of the attractions we went to was included. All the gratuities for anyone that assisted us during the trip, such as the coach drivers or any local tour guides that we had, that was all included. The only additional gratuity was for your adventure guides, which they give you a little envelope similar to Disney Cruise Line, where you can put your gratuities in to give to them at the end of the trip.
Just so that us in the UK understand the whole gratuity thing for tours, because this one was a new one on me when I started going on cruises. When you have a guide, it is expected to give a particular percentage. What was it with the ABD? Without prying into details, what would you sort of say is a general amount?
So they give you it is very similar to Disney Cruise Line, and they give you a suggested amount. So the suggested amount was $9 to $11 per person per day for each guide. And then unlike Disney Cruise Line, they don't automatically add it on to your reservation. It's completely up to you. So you're going to provide those gratuities in cash. So however much you want to place in the envelope at the end of the trip is completely your discretion.
And you make your own way to the start point, which obviously being from the USA, you had to fly in.
We chose to add on a pre-night so that we could adjust to the time difference and do a few things on our own before the ABD started. So as long as you book that pre-night through Adventures by Disney, your transportation from the airport is included. If you do the pre-night on your own, then you do need to get your own way to your starting point for the adventure. Same thing on the back end. So we actually added the transportation, a town car or a car service from our ending point in Paris to Disneyland Paris. And we added that transportation with Adventures by Disney. Even though we booked the Disneyland Paris portion on our own, we added the transportation with Adventures by Disney. So then they took care of everything.
Awesome. And if anyone is interested in whether it's an ABD or a Disney Parks trip or basically any help with any travel, give yourself a little bit of a shout out, because I know that is your employment, that is your job.
It is. So my website is vacationsbychristine.net, or you can find me on Facebook at Christine Sir Vacation Planner.
Thank you. And I know that you're slowly releasing your blogs of each day detailing a little bit more detail and sharing pictures, etc. So if you want to find out a little bit more, or if you want to chat with Christine a little bit more about any travel you have coming up, please do get in touch, because Christine has helped me out so many times, so I can't but say wonderful things about you.
Thank you.
So, where were you staying in London? This will give us UK nerds a bit of an insight where you start.
We stayed at the Kimpton Fitzroy.
Okay, is that by sort of Bloomsbury, sort of?
It was by Russell Square.
Yes, I know the one. Right, okay, gorgeous. Okay. So what did you do as your London part of the ABD?
So part of the Adventures by Disney, we did the Tower of London. There was portions of the ABD where it was a private tour just for our group. So that is how we started. So we had a private time before the open of Tower of London to the public. We had a viewing of the Crown Jewels. That was just our group. We had a little bit of time in the Tower of London. That was also just for our group. And then we had some free time then, and the grounds were open to the public at that time. We did high-speed boat ride on the Thames. We went to St. Paul's Cathedral. We went to Buckingham Palace, but only as a photo op. We did not go inside.
Okay.
We went to Hampton Court. We went to the town of Windsor, where we had some free time there. We went to one of my favorite things in both locations was the experiences, like the hands-on experiences. So when we were in Windsor, we went to an estate, which I don't have the name of, where it was just us, and we learned how to do longbow archery.
Oh, wow.
So we had a group of 4 instructors that gave us like the history of the longbow, how it was used in war times, gave us some demonstrations, and then we each got to learn how to shoot it. And that was really super fun, and something that I don't know if it's something you could book on your own, but I don't even know I would have thought to even look for something like that if I was going to London or the UK. So yeah, that was a great experience, and definitely something different with Adventures by Disney.
It sounds very much like you are getting a upmarket experience with, only the maximum of 40 people in your tour, getting to go and see things before opening to the public. It sounds like you were given the absolute VIP treatment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that everyone's experiences and what you're looking for may be different. We never really spent a super long time in any location, but because we had, whether the grounds were open to just us or everywhere we went, we had an earpiece, a headset, and we would have a local guide, not the Adventures by Disney guides, but someone who was local, who knew a lot about what we were seeing. And even if we went to St. Paul's Cathedral and it was open to the public, our guide gave us a good 30 to 45 minute tour telling us everything that we were seeing. And then we would have some free time. So you may have been a person who wanted to spend more time there. So that might be a little bit challenging as if you were doing this tour, because we didn't spend hours at each location, but we saw, I would say the highlights of everything that you would go to see, and got so much information about it, as opposed to if I was just there on my own, kind of trying to figure out or wandering around on my own, not really know what I was seeing.
So what did you think to London?
Oh, we loved it. I had never been to London, never been to Paris. We loved the area that the hotel was in. We are big theater people, so we we saw 2 shows on the West End, which is fun. And just really, I think we kind of compared it to New York because, I live outside of New York and go to New York for shows all the time. The driving, I drive in New York City all the time. I don't have a problem driving. I don't know how you drive in London.
Why? Just curious. Why do you think that London is scarier than New York?
The streets made no sense to me. New York City is a grid, very easy to figure out. You just follow the numbers and you know what you're doing. Yeah, and the amount of bicycles, and we have that in New York too, but I don't know, it seemed more there.
Yeah, once you realise about the traffic and the congestion charge and the Clean Air Act, a lot of people do tend to travel around on the bicycles or use the underground. Did you have a little dabble on the underground as well?
We did. We wanted to make sure we got the full experience, so we did do that one time.
Did you pop into the Disney store?
We didn't make it to the Disney store. When we were on our own time, we went to Harrods, and we went to Fortnum and Mason, and we went to Harrods. I think those were the two.
You pick two quality pieces of shopping there, because going through the food hall at Fortnum and Mason's always makes me salivate with the divine delicacies that they have in there.
I'm still dreaming about the scones, and I found out they don't ship them to the U.S. I was like, oh, I looked on their site because I was thinking I should have bought more when I was there.
It's okay. I'll share recipes.
Okay.
You have your London experience. How do you travel over to Paris? Did you go by train, plane, boats?
Yep, we took the Eurostar, and that was another great part of the Adventures by Disney. Was the night before we left for Paris, a porter comes and takes your checked luggage at about 9 p.m. the night before, and the next time you see it, it's in your hotel room in Paris. So all we needed was a carry-on to take on the Eurostar with us.
Handy. And you travelled under the sea.
We did, yes.
Did you sing any Little Mermaid songs as you was going underneath?
Oh, no. Missed opportunity. We did not.
Darn it. And I know that you are a big singer as well, so I would have expected that, Christine. I'm feeling a little bit let down.
Yes. I didn't even think of it. It's funny, I just learned a quartet version for Under the Sea, too.
Oh, well, do you know, this just means you've got to come back.
Oh, there's lots of reasons we want to go back. We look at things and we're like, oh, we should have done this, we should have done that, but maybe another time.
And you need to come a bit further up north. You know, as northerners are friendly people. Okay, so we're in Paris. What were the highlights of being toured around Paris with ABD?
We went to the Sacré-Cœur area. We took the Funkular up there, or you could walk up the steps. We went to the Eiffel Tower. We had lunch on the first floor of the Eiffel Tower. And again, there was free time if you wanted to venture up the stairs to the second floor or just stay on that main floor. We did a dinner cruise on the Seine, so we could see everything lit up at night. We, of course, went to the Louvre. We saw the Mona Lisa. And again, that was a place where we did only spend about 45 minutes to an hour. We certainly were satisfied with the time, and we saw the highlights. But there were some people in our group that chose to skip the next activity and stay longer. At the Louvre. We went to the Opera House, and we went to Versailles.
Wow, so you did some pretty major sites in Paris as well, and Versailles is just beyond belief how stunning.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. And the hands-on experience there was we went to a cooking school and learned to make macarons.
Oh, the key dish of any French pastry chef.
Yes.
Did you manage to indulge in some lovely French cuisine while you were there too?
Oh, the best thing that we definitely ate, maybe on the entire trip, was we had some free time in the Latin Quarter, and we went to a little cafe and had some fondue. And it definitely has ruined us for fondue any place else because it was amazing.
Yeah, patisserie, bread, cheese, wine, champagne. Yeah. Paris has the lot, and if you explore a little bit further, going down the Loire Valley, you will get to see why Disneyland Paris's castle is so magnificent, because of the castles in the Loire Valley being so beautiful and stunning.
Okay, yeah.
So that's another trip hit for you for next visit.
Yes, sure.
So how does the ABD end? I've heard rumour there is a bit of a special gathering at the end of your trips.
Yeah, I mean, there's a farewell dinner, and then just as we had a welcome dinner, and there are other group meals throughout the trip. And farewell dinner, this was my second Adventures by Disney, but this is part of each one is the guides. The guides are basically your paparazzi, and they take your photos everywhere you go. Plus, they take photos of just the sites that you're seeing. And they always put together a slideshow that they show at the farewell dinner to kind of wrap everything up, which is super fun to see everyone's pictures of what we did, and everyone enjoying themselves throughout the trip.
Sounds absolutely amazing. And you mentioned you've done another ABD. What was that?
My husband and I did the Southern California one almost 10 years ago. I loved it. We both really enjoyed it. He's not as big of a Disney person as I am, but he enjoyed seeing the behind the scenes aspects of Disneyland, the rides and whatnot. So we love that one. But this one was that feels like now to me like a baby Adventures by Disney. because this one was just so much more. And I think, I'm familiar with Disneyland. I'm familiar, I wasn't outside of the US. So I think this one just felt like more because we were getting to explore places we'd never been.
Good point. And as you mentioned, ABD isn't just going to places where there's a Disney theme park either, is it?
No, I mean, I think in talking to people, my friends, since we've been back, as soon as I say Adventures by Disney, everyone thinks it's just about going to the parks. And they're like, oh, you went to London, but there's no park in London. No, Adventures by Disney is, to me, it's Disney in the quality and the level of the service and the experience, but it's not tied to the theme parks. And I'm surprised about how many people don't really know about it. And, even Disney people don't really know about it and think that when I even say the title, that it has to be tied to the theme park experience. And really, throughout our trip, every day you get a pin of the day that kind of represents what you've done that day. And all those pins have Disney characters on them. But other than that, the guides would tie in Disney aspects. Like when we were going to our farewell dinner, they were playing Be Our Guest on the bus, or they would, when we were touring Versailles, they pointed out that one of the pieces there was used as inspiration for the live action Beauty and the Beast for Lumiere and Cogsworth, like small little things like that had Disney tie-ons. But if you were not into Disney, I don't think you would be disappointed by the trip or think that it was too Disney.
I suppose it's a bit like going on a Disney cruise, because there's as much Disney as you want on the cruise line, but if you're not a Disney fan, you will still enjoy going on Disney Cruise Line because of that level of service that you get.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not, I mean, no characters are coming out, surprising you. There's, it's none of that.
Looking back, do you have a particular highlight that you've not already mentioned about the entire London-Paris aspect of your trip?
I'll repeat that I think the hands-on experiences were certainly what stands out to me. And the dinner cruise on the Seine was amazing. And just personally, I'm always the person that is in charge of every trip that we go on. And I'm always the one that has all the confirmations on my phone and what time we need to be here and making sure we have enough time to get to this location. And it's just amazing to not have to worry about a single thing when you go on these trips. Just show up and they take care of everything. And you don't need to know what time you need to be anywhere. They don't even tell you what time you need to be anywhere. You just turn up at the lobby at the time they say that you're leaving, and then you're in their hands for the day. And for someone who's a constant planner like me, it's wonderful.
Quite liberating, I imagine.
Yes, absolutely.
So you say goodbye to your ABD chums, thank the guides that you had, and then you went to Disneyland Paris. So this is where we can go OTT with your first opinions of going to this Parisian park, and tell me about the hotel experience.
So we stayed at the Disneyland Hotel, which is brand new renovation, opened at the beginning of this year. What can you say? It's beautiful. The lobby is beautiful. The chandelier is amazing. They have sort of 3 different levels of room categories there, your standard level, and then they offer 2 sort of concierge level rooms, a deluxe concierge level, and then the Castle Club area. So we were in the deluxe level of the concierge, which just meant really that we had access to a lounge that's open for breakfast and then open for afternoon tea. And then there's a concierge desk if you need assistance with things throughout your stay. I can't speak to whether the rooms are different on that level than what a standard room would look like. I'm not really sure, but our room was beautiful. We had what they called a garden view, which was fine. I mean, we were on the first floor, so it was kind of hard to have a view because you're just really walking out onto a patio, and we didn't really spend a ton of time in the room anyway because we were out at the park.
I'm just going to translate that for UK listeners. First floor means ground floor. I always get confused when people say, oh, I'll meet you on the first floor. It's like, do I have to go up the stairs? Because for us, that would count as ground floor. Anyway, I'm digressing again.
Sorry.
So there were some beautiful touches in the room linking to the overall aesthetic of the hotel, bit of princessy, etc.
Yeah, so our room was themed for tangles, and you could press a button, and then there was a painting behind our bed that was of the lantern scene, and there was little lights that would come on if you pressed a button, and some mood lighting above it. It was just beautiful. The bathroom, beautiful. The size of the room was amazing. There was, every night they would come in and do a turn down, and they would leave us each, they would pull out of the little cabinet 2 teacups and leave us a packet of tea if we wanted to have tea in the evening, which it was kind of chilly and rainy the whole time we were there. So we actually took advantage of the tea every evening to warm up a bit.
Did you ever go and try the afternoon tea in the concierge lounge that you had?
Yes, we did. That also was very nice. Again, the weather was not nice, was not kind to us. So on our last day, we had finished the rides that we wanted to do. So we did go take advantage, and it was a buffet style of different little sandwiches, snackies, little pastries, and then you could order whatever tea that you liked off a menu they had.
So for those people who've not been to Disneyland Paris before, the Disneyland Hotel is literally, you walk straight into the park. It is the closest of any Disney park in the US, even, in my opinion, and it is beautiful. Like, I have spent so much time just unwinding in the lobby area. It is gorgeous, and I've not even been since it's been refurbished as well.
We were so spoiled by the proximity to the park. So nice to just walk out your door and be right there. And once you go through security, as long as you don't leave, you never have to go through security again. You're past security once you're in the hotel. And so we never went through security, just popped out and went wherever we liked.
You were in your little safe Disney bubble.
We were definitely in a bubble.
And I love the smell of the Disneyland Hotel. It's just got this unique aroma, unlike any other Disney hotel I've ever been in. It's sort of part baby flower powder, part jasmine. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, we definitely enjoyed it.
Let's talk theme park. Right, Disneyland Paris, very different in some aspects to the American parks. Tell me about what attractions you went on and loved.
Well, I shouldn't say everything. We definitely did not do everything. We did everything we wanted to do.
Okay.
We did, Small World, of course, which we did a few times. Phantom Manor. We tried to hit everything that was different, which is actually, I felt like a lot of attractions were different from the U.S. parks, even if it was only in small ways. Mm-hmm. We are not super big coaster people, so some of us did Crush's Coaster and some of us did not. I did not. Same thing for Space Mountain. I'm not, I guess because I'm getting older, not a fan of upside down or backwards anymore. So I used to try to make a point to try everything once, but I have decided that I would rather feel well for the entire trip and not try things. So I really love going fast, and in California, I love Incredicoaster. So I did it the last time we were out there, and it was just Chris and I, but we were also traveling with my sisters, and we came off of it, and I texted them and I said, I'm going to need a few minutes to recover. Gotten less adventurous on trying things. I did not try Space Mountain or Crush's Coaster when we were in Paris, but I do love Tower of Terror, and we definitely did that one in Paris. And yeah, everything felt more intense there.
What did you think to Big Thunder Mountain? Was that an attraction you were able to go on?
Yeah, definitely did that. That felt more too, like the start and the end being in the dark as you're going underneath to get out to the island. Maybe, I have no evidence of this, but it felt a little longer than the U.S. versions, but maybe not. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was how it felt.
I must admit, the version in Paris is probably one of my favourite ones because just the theming, Tony Baxter literally did an amazing job coordinating the team, putting together all of the artifacts around that part of the park, and then you walk up to Phantom Manor. What was your take on the French-English presentation of this attraction?
I liked all of the French-English presentation of everything. The shows, we saw Mickey and the Magician and we saw the Together Pixar show. Mm-hmm. I actually liked that. One character, like Mickey and the Magician, always spoke French. and the magician always spoke English. I like that it stayed consistent and that it was a mix, and you definitely could still tell, knew what was going on, even if you didn't understand any French at all. So yeah, it was interesting in everywhere to have the mix.
I absolutely love that show. I just think the technology and the fact that although you're in a different country that speaks a different language, I think if you are solely a French speaker or solely an English speaker, you can still pick up what is happening.
Yeah, I definitely cannot speak French, but it was what I took in high school, and so I pick up some words, but my sisters and my husband don't know any at all, and they didn't have any trouble. I didn't have any trouble following the story or what was going on in either show.
You mentioned to me off air that you had purchased the Disneyland Paris version of the Lightning Pass that have just come out over into the USA parks. Tell me a little bit about that experience and why you felt it was worthwhile for you to utilize.
Yeah, we ended up purchasing it just for one day, mostly because we really didn't have a sense of what the crowd levels were going to be, and we knew we were going on a weekend, and we wanted to be able to, I'd like to say I'd be able to go back to again, but I don't know that that will be the case. So we felt like if this is our one and only trip, we want to make sure we could ride everything that we want to ride. So we purchased it for just for one day. So we knew that day we were going to definitely spend as much time as we could in the parks and take advantage of that pass. So with the pass, you don't need to reserve times. So we basically can walk around the park in as much of a circle or in a way that you're not zigzagging across the park, and just go from attraction to attraction and ride everything. And for us, you can use it in both parks there. We definitely felt like it was worth it to make sure we could ride everything. And some of that, because we had been there already a half a day the day before, like Small World, we had already done, Phantom Manor, we had already done, but we did everything a second time if we had done it the day before, just because, we had the pass and wanted to take full advantage of it.
What about the evening entertainment, fireworks, drones? What did you think?
The biggest disappointment is that we did not see any, and it was because of the weather.
Oh,
so
no.
It was very cold. It was very rainy, like downpour rainy. The shows, they were not canceled, but we just were not up for standing out in it. I, at that point, had come down with a bit of a cold, and that was my number one thing to see was the drone show and the fireworks show before we went, and I just wasn't able to make it happen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But there's always YouTube.
Yes.
Well, I've done really well. We've been on about 28, 29 minutes now, and we haven't talked food. So I would really love your opinion on the DLP food.
So we did basically one table service meal each day and then snacks. So because breakfast was at the lounge at the hotel every morning. So that was it's kind of pretty much how we are when we travel anyway, like a 3 p.m.-ish bigger table service meal, and then snacks when you want snacks. And if we are hungry for something bigger, like a counter service, we will, but we did not when we were in Disneyland Paris. So we ate at Pym's, which is a buffet. We ate at Walt's.
Of course.
And then the Disneyland Paris hotel, they have the Royal Banquet, and for dinner, it's only open to hotel guests, although I read that could be changing. So we did that on our last night.
Walt's is on Main Street. I was there, during the 30th celebration. What was your take on the actual theming and the food?
Oh, I love the theming of Walt's. We definitely had a comparison because we did Pym's the day before, and it was just kind of a very chaotic atmosphere. So lots of little children running all over the place. The food we actually enjoyed, but it felt like kind of going into war to go up to the buffet and get what you wanted to eat. So, and we also had waited. We had reservations for everything, but we did wait a good 30 minutes at Pym's and a good 30 minutes at Walt's past our reservation time to be seated. And at Pym's, the wait was outside and it was pouring rain and windy. So we didn't really have the best experience at Pym's, even though we all agreed we enjoyed the food.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got to Waltz, it was so quiet and so peaceful. And we were upstairs, not near the window, but we were upstairs, and it was just nice and peaceful, and we just really enjoyed the atmosphere. I think the food was good. Wasn't maybe the best I've ever had, but it was good.
Okay, and then you ate at the Royal Banquet in Disneyland Hotel, which is pretty sensational.
Yeah, I mean, the Tower of Lobsters is pretty amazing to look at.
Yeah, and if you have a large appetite for expensive food like lobster or gigantic prawn, shrimp, seafood, you can suddenly make a big dent, couldn't you?
Oh, for sure. The seafood table is quite impressive.
And it's in that beautiful hotel. It's just magnificent.
And you have characters in their royal garb that came around and were very interactive and came by more than once.
That's good. That's good to hear that they did that as well, because if you're paying for the characters, you want to have that opportunity to meet, get really good pictures.
Yeah, I was up at the buffet and on my way back, but everyone else in my party was seated. And as I was coming back, Pluto stopped by, and then he sat in my seat and was interacting with everyone. So, and we saw quite a bit of that. So definitely a lot of really good character interactions there.
If you were to say to a fellow American who's considering going to Disneyland Paris, how much time would you recommend that they have purely for the theme parks?
We were there basically 2.5 days, because we arrived around noon on our first day, and then we had 2 full days. It was more than enough time. Now, I know areas are under construction, and Frozen is going to open up. That area is going to open up. But I still think you could definitely get everything that you want to do in 2 days.
And of course, you mentioned about having that pass. And for some people, they may consider, well, actually, if I'm already at the Disneyland Hotel, I'm getting this pass, I may not need an extra day. Whereas if you didn't have that pass, you may have to have that 3rd or 4th day to try and get as many attractions in as you did.
Yeah, very true. I mean, the wait times were pretty high. I would say like at least 30 to 40 minutes for most attractions, and longer for others, like Crush was longer. I could see that you could use longer.
Would you like to go back again, or would you consider going to another Disney park you've not yet been to?
Well, I mean, definitely bucket list for me is to get to all the Disney parks. I don't know if that will ever happen, but I would like to go to the Asia parks if ever it becomes possible to do so for me. But yeah, I would definitely go back to Disneyland Paris.
I think we need a girls' trip with Kat from over at Dis Down Under.
Oh,
what a trip.
Sounds amazing.
She could be our guide.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Right, Kat, you've got yourself a job. Coordinators, please, my darling. I am just so grateful for you to come on and share your experiences. Is there anything at all that you would say to sell ABD or Disneyland Paris to someone who's sort of sat on the edge of the sofa and not quite sure whether it's worth their financial commitment to book it?
I mean, Disneyland Paris is definitely worth your trip. You don't need to stay in Disneyland Hotel if it doesn't fit your budget. There's definitely other hotels that are on Disney property or considered Disney that you could stay. But really, Adventures by Disney, I can't say enough about it. I know it's not an inexpensive venture, but we just had the best time, and we are already looking for 2026. The itineraries are not out yet, but we have our sights set on Germany for 26.
Oh, wow. I am very envious. And if you need a local guide, I do speak German. Just putting it out there.
Great.
I will link into the show notes where you can also get in touch with Christine if you want to chat, travel a little bit further with her. I would like to say a big thank you for coming on this week's podcast to share your experience with us.
Thank you for having me.
As usual, you can find us at DisneyDreamGirls.com. Our Instagram is at DisDreamGirls. And if you wish to support the show financially, hop on over patreon.com/DisneyDreamGirls to get exclusive audio just from us. But until next time, it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.